What's going on, guys? My name is Phil Daru, back again with another video. Today I want to talk about an exercise that I use primarily with all my combat sport athletes and my regular athletes that I use to increase their overall strength and power in a squat position. And that's called the Zurcher Squat. Now, if you've ever seen any of my videos before or watched any of my Instagram videos, you see that my guys and girls do Zurcher squats all the time. Now, the reason why I use this exercise is because it's efficient for that athlete and it's effective, right? So you're still being able to bilateral back squat, but you're putting the bar in the right position so that they can properly hip hinge and it's not going to hinder performance. A lot of the times, athletes in general have limited hip and ankle mobility. So in order to negate that and to actually get the benefits of a squat, we use the Zurcher squat so that we can utilize the benefits of a squat, but it's not going to hinder them as far as their movement capacity. Now, you do want to make sure that you are working your mobility, but you also want to make sure you're getting strong at the same time. So that's why the Zurcher squat is a vital part of my programming. Okay. The great thing about that also is it develops core and posterior chain strength, right? When that bar is sitting in the front rack position inside your elbows, you have to make sure you're maintaining a solid brace in your abs and that your lower back and your mid back are nice and tight and stable, right? Your upper back is also getting worked because you have to retract and stay strong. Otherwise, the bar is going to fall forward. Obviously, you're working your legs, your glutes, your hips because you are squatting in that same biomechanic region, right? So after that, the sport benefits, right? The athletes that are going to benefit from this are pretty much every athlete. Any athlete that is high force, right, you're going to benefit from this. So combat athletes, football, American football, rugby, basketball, volleyball. And the real reason why I like to use this with the basketball and volleyball athletes is because with taller individuals, it's a lot easier to get in that position because the bar is not sitting on top of their back in an axial load. So the bar is sitting in the crooks of the elbow. It's easier for them to hip hinge because you have a counterbalance there. So I'm going to go into deep detail on how you Zurcher squat. So let's do this. All right, so the first thing you want to do is set your bar up in a rack or in a rig or something along the lines of that so that you don't have to pick this up off the floor. Usually with a real Zurcher, you do pick it up off the floor, but to keep the back safe and to also have a regression to that progression of picking it off the floor, we'll start with it in the rack. So you're gonna set the J-hooks up where the bar is sitting almost right below your elbows, right? You're gonna take a shoulder width stance, go underneath, right where the knurling ends, your elbow is gonna sit. All right, both sides. Now, a lot of times you see guys and girls clasp their hands together. Now, I don't like this because it puts a lot of stress here on the elbow, right, on the outer part of the brachialis or brachioradialis. So what we don't want to do is we want to take away that stress. So what you'll do is you actually supinate, right? Turn that hand up and then clench the fist as hard as you can, making a muscle there so it has a little bit more padding. Also, what it does, instead of clasping the hands together, as you let these go and separate the hands, you're actually getting more upper body muscle activation. So I'm going to take my hands, clasp them here, make tight fists to create irradiation and tightness in my body. I'm going to take a big breath in, creating intra-abdominal pressure throughout my entire lumbar area. Brace, get it up off the rack, step, step, find my foot placement, screw my feet into the ground, big toes are pushed into the floor. Brace one more time. I sit back, spread, get to the end, drive up, boom. Okay, so after you rack it, make sure that the bar isn't falling forward or anything like that. Walk all the way up to the rack, let it hit the rack and slide down, all right? Don't bend over to re-rack it. Make sure that you get all the way flush against the rack and then you set it down in a quarter squat position. Okay, the thing you wanna make sure you're doing as you go to squat, remember what I did there. I grabbed the ground with my toes. So act like you're trying to grab sand with your toes. So you're pressing with that big toe, little toe, and then from there you're gonna screw your feet in, right? So you can create that hip torque there. As I go down, as I descend in the motion, I'm actually spreading the floor apart. I'm pushing lateral with both my legs, trying to rip my IT bands apart, like in a sense, right? So I'm screwing in my feet, I get that torque, I come down, I'm spreading the floor apart, bar is here. As I come up, I'm pushing out, I'm driving up, and I'm squeezing my glutes. At the same time, I'm making sure that my lats are engaged, right? So I can maintain posture, and I'm breathing into my diaphragm here. So I'm creating an internal brace, right? An internal, like the same thing if I were to have a belt on, right? I'm creating a belt with my abs, with my breath, creating that intra-abdominal pressure. So I'm gonna go ahead and breathe in, brace down, lock my lats. I'll descend, hip hinge first, spread, 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 spread. And then once I get to the bottom position, I drive up and lock my hips in, okay? So mainly what you wanna do here is you can go max effort with this, you can go volume with this. Just make sure that if you are gonna go maximal effort, let's go ahead and get some elbow sleeves or some knee sleeves on your elbows so that it's not crushing your elbows. And that's more of what you're actually thinking about than actually moving the weight with efficiency. So in order to negate that, go ahead and put some padding on the bar. I know it sounds a little soft, but at the end of the day, we're in it to get the lift done. We're in it to get the adaptation. So that's how we'll do it. Okay, so that was the Zurcher squat. Okay, so for the next one I want to talk about for the upper body is going to be a floor press. Now, floor press can be done in several variations. I'm just going to be talking about the regular floor press where you're laying flat on the floor and you're using a straight bar instead of a football bar. You can use this with other means. I do a lot of different variations with the floor press. I use a glute bridge floor press. I use something that people call now the Daru press, where you're going single leg, single arm glute bridge floor press with a dumbbell. But today, I'm just going to go ahead and show you the barbell floor press, where we can utilize this to produce force in the end range of a punch position, or if you're a combat sport athlete like BJJ, obviously MMA, boxing, things like that. Remember, this is the end range of your punch, and this is also good for pushing off and shrimping out, getting out of bad positions. So main benefit, again, is going to be it's safe and it's effective, right? We're trying to make sure we're mitigating injury. We're making sure that we're getting our biggest bang for our buck with the exercise. It's not going to be harmful for them, especially when it comes down to athletic performance. We're trying to keep them on their field of play, keep them practicing, keep them training, and we're trying to increase performance while we do that. So another thing is that it's sport specific, like I said. So if you're talking about American football, if you're talking about boxing or MMA or kickboxing, things like that, the end range of a punch, or if you're striking your opponent to get off a block or to block them, you're gonna need that ability to produce force at the end range, working on the tricep, working on the anterior delt. Okay, it works the muscles needed for athletic performance. Like I said, it works the tricep, it works the anterior delt, works a little bit of the medial pec, or the pec minor, I should say. And another thing is it doesn't overstretch the delts, right? So it doesn't put that shoulder in an advantageous position, right? It doesn't put the shoulder in danger because you're overstretching it on a bench press. Okay, increases that force production in the triceps or in the delts itself. Like I said before, we want to make sure that we have that snap on the edge of the punch if you're talking about boxing or kickboxing, MMA. And then also you want to be able to have force to get off a block or to get onto a block and make sure you're handling your opponent. Okay, sports that it benefits, like I said, combat sports, striking sports, boxing, kickboxing, MMA, Muay Thai, those sports there. Also American football. And then those grappling sports like BJJ and wrestling. This is definitely going to be beneficial. And like I said, it's safe and effective. So I'm going to show you how to do it. Let's get to it. Okay, so first thing you want to do is we want to set it up on a rack. All right, you're actually going to be away from the rack. So you want to set the pins up or the J-hooks outside of the rack so that you can splay your body out fully. Some people like to go inside the rack. I don't like that because it catches the bottom, and a lot of the times I just like to be free when I go up to press. So I put it outside the rack. It's your preference if you want to do it inside or not, but you're going to make sure that the J-hooks are set up to where you can pull the bar off without rotating and protracting too much. Remember, we want to keep that retraction and depression in the scapula. So when you set up, you're going to set up just like a bench press. And if you have any questions about that, you can check my video that I did just recently on how to set up for the bench press, and I'll put the link up there so that you can see it. But first thing we're going to do is we're going to set up, we're going to go ahead and retract and depress our scap, making sure that we're locked, our shoulders are locked in and our lats are tight. I'm going to grab the bar, pull it off, come down controlled right to my sternum, hold that position, and then press through right? And as I press, I'm actually acting like I'm spreading the bar apart. As I come down, I'm going to bend the bar apart. So here's how it looks. Okay, all right. So as you can see, as you get the bar off the rack, you wanna make sure that your lats are tight. When I do get the bar off the rack, I like to pause for a second, let the weight settle, come down controlled, pause it at the bottom, so we're creating that static overcome by dynamic. We're increasing force production in that end range of the position, and then we're using our triceps and our delts to just blast it up and get it off that bottom position. So another thing that you could actually utilize is a board press if you don't feel comfortable getting on the floor. If you're like that, so be it. But if that's the case, you can get a board and have it sit off your chest and still get that same range of motion there. But if you have a large athlete base like I do, when you have about 8 to 10 guys and girls, you know, all need to do a floor press or all need to do that position or in that range of motion, floor press will work tremendously, and also it's very safe, like I said. So that was the floor press. If you have any questions, you know what to do. Hit the comment below. Also, make sure you hit the notification button so you get to have those videos as soon as it comes out. Then also, please hit the like button if you like this video. If you want to see more of these tutorials like this, make sure you let me know. Thanks again for watching. See you next time.